Like I said, everything is secure, including the elevator. You only have access if you are a resident here. So this would be our second floor, and all of them are layout pretty much the same. So
Hello, I'm
each
Eric
floor
Anderson.
has,
Welcome to
bachelor
YWCA Underground
suites,
and
two-bedroom,
welcome to the
and one
YWCA's
three-bedroom
Hopeful
suite.
Hearts Home.
Is equipped with a laundry area, and there's also a communal space on each floor. So this floor has our playroom. So if
I'm on
we'll
a
go
tour
over
right now with
here.
Mirna Funes-Klaasen of the Hopeful Hearts Home program. The program takes place in a 4-story building that opened last year and is a transitional housing wing attached to the main YWCA building. The Hopeful Hearts Home program provides women and their families with a safe home and a nurturing environment to heal from experiences of interpersonal violence. There are 35 suites in the building that can house up to 75 people, and it is truly making a difference in the lives of the women and children who call it home. Mirna is the manager of Hopeful Hearts, and as you will hear in this episode, is passionate about helping women and children in need access the many services provided by the YWCA. Whether it's the Employment and Learning Center in the YWCA or the cultural supports offered within the Hopeful Hearts Home that you will hear about shortly, Mirna wants women to feel supported and cared for when they enter the program. One of the keys to the success of the Hopeful Hearts Home program is the communal spaces within the building. There's a kids' room on the second floor, a community kitchen and outdoor patio on the top floor, and this family room Mirna showed me on the third floor.
In here, but what's nice about this space too is that sometimes women, they're not able to afford their own TV in their own suite, so then they can come here and utilize this space, moms and kids, but also sometimes they'll do like their own kind of movie nights as well together. Yeah, so another form of building that community and getting to know each other.
I was just about to say, it's wonderful. You guys have put so much careful thought into creating spaces where community can happen. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. And we are seeing that.
Yeah.
We're seeing that, on a regular basis. Like I'm seeing that with women helping women. They're helping each other with childcare. They're helping each other with if there's someone that has a vehicle, that person will drive them to get groceries or to go to the food bank, and also another thing that I have noticed is that, as the resident mentioned downstairs, is that they'll share food sometimes too, like if they might decide to kind of cook together upstairs too, but they'll share and they'll help each other out for sure in any way that they can.
As we were leaving the family room to continue our tour, we met a woman and her child in the hallway. This woman was so appreciative of everything Hopeful Hearts Home was providing her and her family.
Oh, it's a wonderful place. Oh. We get to be with our kids here, and we get to have a beautiful environment with all the beautiful staff. And there's always programming going on to keep us busy.
What do you love most about it?
I love that there's always staff available if we're having a little bit of hard times with our kids or if we just need some community help. There's always someone there to ask for help and to see what we can make more supports for us and our family. That we're from First Nation. I'm First Nation Montreal Lake. So I moved into the city about 5 years ago. And I've just been keeping in the community and keeping busy.
Thank you for sharing. Have a good day.
You too.
See you later, cutie.
Hanging out.
So this is our little roof.
I first heard of Hopeful Hearts Home in October of 2023. That's when I interviewed Kim Fisher for the podcast. Kim is the Director of Residential Programs at the YWCA, and in her episode, she talked about looking out of her office window and imagining a building that could meet the transitional housing needs of the community. It took years of fundraising and hard work behind the scenes, but that dream is now a reality, and Kim is so happy that her longtime colleague Mirna is managing Hopeful Hearts Home.
There are many things that make Mirna valuable. Her years of experience at the YWCA and serving clients and women and children, her passion for being able to do it, and her willingness, her flexibility, and just that she values the services that we provide, and she wants her community to be better. And so so when she takes something on, she takes it on fully. I've seen her take it on with excitement and passion, and it has not been easy. There's been lots of times along the way that we didn't realize this, or we didn't know about that, or we forgot about something else. And I've seen her lead in the last year more so than I've ever seen her take that lead. And she has to. She has a team that relies on her, but she also has a willingness to want to excel and to want to be a leader. And I think that's really critical.
Our tour ended in a beautiful space on the top floor called the Mother Room. Mirna shared that this space is used for many Indigenous ceremonies and teachings, including smudges, and the glass walls offer a stunning view of Kinsman Park. It was the perfect place to sit down with Mirna and learn more about the Hopeful Hearts Home program, how she sees women and children benefiting from the program, and why small successes are just as important as big victories. For someone that is not familiar with Hopeful Hearts, how would you describe this amazing place?
It is transitional housing for women who are coming from interpersonal violence situations. Our criteria for the program does require women to have more stability. So that means within their mental health and their addictions, as well as have a good foundation of life skills as well, because there is an independence portion of the program. As I said earlier, we're not 24/7, so they do need to be more independent and can be able to manage crisis on their own if staff are not on shift, and so that is and also the other, and so there's a transitional housing for interpersonal violence, and then with that criteria, and it can be so interpersonal violence can include intimate partner violence, it can include community violence, gang related violence, any violence that women and their children are experiencing in the community. And so when they come to the program, they will have support here. We really focus on providing safety support within a trauma-informed approach, as well as within a holistic approach and client-centered.
I want to ask you some questions about that, but I'm so curious and I know every person is unique and every situation is unique, but when people do come here, can you describe a little bit what is going on a bit in their lives, or maybe what's going on in their minds when they come here? Like, how are they doing when they come here and you first meet them?
Mm-hmm. So it varies, because every woman has their own story and everyone is at a different place, right? For some people, it may be that there's more stability, right? There may be in the community, but where they're at, the place that they're at it's not safe, and so they've already lived in the community, they've been independent, but they need a safe place. So, and then you may have somebody who's maybe transitioning from a shelter. So when for someone who has no housing and is in a shelter and doesn't know where they're going to go, after their stay is up in the shelter, coming here, it's a big relief. It's just that you could just tell, that they just have this sense of, peace, and they're more at ease, that now they can come here and they can be here for up to 2 years, and they don't have to worry about, where they're going to go in a week or 30 days. So it varies for everybody. But I think, with any change, with any transition, is difficult, right? It's overwhelming. There is oftentimes, women are doing that on their own. They're moving on their own. They're they have 3 little kids with them, 4 little kids with them, sometimes 5, and so they're managing all of this by themselves. And so when they come here, yes, there's times for sure where there's a lot of overwhelmed, but once they settle in, you start to see that with the kids, that sense of security. They're happy. I know. I can tell you this. I just thought of this actually. Back in the summer, we had a mom and her 3 little kids move in, and when they walked into the space, they were like, "Oh my God, this is so awesome! We get a bunk bed. We get our own bed." So it was, it's just also to see that excitement, and you could tell, that for the kids as well, that it's just a good change for them. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing that anecdote. I'm just picturing too, like you said, there's a sense of there's so many things going on, but then at the same time too, once you're here and you just gave me a wonderful tour, and the suites are beautiful. Mm-hmm. That sense of relief, does that, like, from your perspective, Mirna, is that a good feeling just to see, like, I'm just picturing a woman maybe just like doing a big exhale and their shoulders just like relaxing a bit, knowing that, like, okay, I'm here now. How does that make you feel?
It feels like this is what we're supposed to be doing, and that this is the right service. This is what's needed out there in the community. This is what the women need, the children that we're housing. It is definitely very rewarding to see that. That is why, we do the work that we do, right? To see, to see the successes, but also we know that the work that we do also comes, with challenges. We see a lot of trauma, in women and children, and so it comes with both for sure. But when we can see the impact right in front of our eyes, it certainly is very rewarding, and that's what keeps you going. That's what keeps you doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You mentioned the challenges. So for you and your team, and I've had the privilege of meeting some of your team today, what are some of the challenges that you encounter when women and their families are here in the building?
Mm-hmm. So this year has certainly been a learning year, right? Kind of what's working, what isn't. But challenges, and this is what you see in the community in general, right? You see, challenges with food security, challenges with, financial, not poverty, right? Not having enough finances, challenges with also we have already, in just a short time, we're already seeing, relapses that are happening, with family, like with moms, and so, it's how do you work, and so with that, for us here, we're certainly committed to working with individuals when there is those relapses, and supporting them as best as we can to get them back, onto that recovery, to help them get back onto that recovery. But it's not easy, and we have seen already, those challenges for sure. So it is, and the other piece too is when I talk about financially as well, because residents do pay. There is a housing fee, and it is based on it's on low income, right? So it is based on kind of what they would be eligible through SIS or SIS or SED, and so sometimes there is pieces where they're not able, because it's also sometimes that is the criteria for people to have life skills. That's not always the case, right? Like paying your rent on time isn't always something that somebody has done before. So it's working through those challenges as well. But also, I think the other piece too is that we're trying to do a lot with little resources. And I think that this is, we're not isolated in this. This is nonprofit world, right? So when I talked about earlier that we do have a small team, like that's, for this big building, this many people, the needs sometimes are higher than others. And so, we're really limited in the resources and the funding that we have to be able to always meet the need.
Would it be, I'm just guessing at this, but would it be a fair guess to say that one of your superpowers then is to stretch whatever resources that you have and do as much as you can with maybe like the limited resources that you have?
I would say yes. I think that's a good way to put it. I guess we don't always see ourselves as superheroes or anything, but I would say that is a good way to put it for sure. We've been doing this for a long time, and it has been true for the existing services too, right? Like we have always been able to get creative in stretching, our resources and, the funding that we have to be able to meet the needs that we have, in front of us. So, I think it's just something that we have learned to do along the way. Is it always, is it always okay? No, right? Because we do need to have, nonprofits do need to have more funding and more resources available, right? Just because we do it, we do more than more with less. It doesn't always mean it's okay, because we do need to have more adequate funding and resources. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. May I ask you a logistical question? How is it that, say, a mother and her two children, how would they, is there an application process to come here, or how does that work, Mirna?
Yeah. So, yes, there is an application process, and it can be completed by either themselves or their supports, I do want to mention that, prior to us moving in here, we did work with some consultants on making sure that our paperwork, our forms, our protocols and procedures and, guidelines, rules, that they were within a trauma-informed language. And so so the application form is one of those forms that was developed with those consultants. And so, and we have made tweaks along the way, because we want to make sure that we're not re-traumatizing people, when they are filling out that form, right? Because we also need to be careful, because we're not everybody that applies, for the program is going to meet the criteria or is going to be accepted, or, if we're full or they don't meet the criteria. And to have somebody, fill out that type of application and, share personal information. So we really, tried our best to make that form as trauma-informed as possible. And so, yes, that is one of the first steps, is to fill out an application form, and we screen that. And if they meet the criteria, we will proceed with an interview as well, with an in-person interview. Our caseworkers will do that. And from there, we decide if that individual will be accepted.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. One of the things that really, so many things stood out to me in the tour, because it was, you give an amazing tour, and this is an amazing building, but there are so many unique spaces that really facilitate community, mm-hmm. and that or make it easy for community to happen. Mm-hmm. Why was that so important? Why is that so important?
Well, because I think peer support is very important, right? Like, I think being able to connect, with somebody who's going through, similar struggles as you are, and also too, it is a way to help women be less isolated, right? When you are sometimes in the community, and I mean, we do know that women who are coming from intimate partner, situations or any type of violence, really, they're isolated. There's often, not a lot of support, and so when they do come here, that's part of our goal, is for them to be able to connect, build those connections, and hopefully, not feel as isolated, feel supported, feel like, I'm not alone in this, right?
I'm thinking of, like, we saw the family room, we saw the kitchen as well. Like, it just having those spaces, are you seeing that in the year that the building has been open? Are you seeing that just sort of happen organically, naturally?
Absolutely. Yeah. No. Yeah. I'm seeing that. I see, like I said, women, helping each other with childcare. I do know that, if there's holidays and, their childcare or their daycare is closed, someone else will look after, the children, so that to allow that mom to be able to go to work, or maybe that mom has, an important appointment that she can't take the children, or like I said earlier, some people do have vehicles, but most don't. So helping each other with transportation, whether going together to the food bank. I see ladies, often going together, even by foot, and going to get donations, or go to the food bank, and but so helping each other in those ways, and also helping each other with whether it's food. If they need laundry soap, those household essentials, just like you would, in small town communities where you can go to your neighbor and, borrow a cup of sugar, or we do see that type of support, that they're, women helping women. I definitely have seen that more and more, over the last few months. And it's a part, I think, like I said earlier, I think part of it is because we do have those communal spaces. We also have a lot of on-site programming as well, where women, that's a good opportunity for women to start to get to know each other, and then they build those, relationships with each other.
Right. What then, Mirna, would be an example of, like, one of those programs where it would allow and sort of empower women to get to know each other?
We have a lot going on, and actually a lot of groups, a lot of programming, and it amazes me how much we're actually doing with little, funding and little resources, and so but we have some really great partnerships. So we have some partnerships with some agencies from the village. We have Family Service Saskatoon, we have Nevera, we have Foundations Learning. I don't want to forget anybody, but those have been, are consistent. But the nice thing is that, these agencies, they're coming to us. They're like, okay, we have this program. We like to run it at Hopeful Hearts, and so some things that are happening are, like I said, the Cook and Connect. That is for families. So there'll be about 5 families, and with their children. So once a week they cook together, and all the food is provided, all the ingredients are provided. There's usually a different meal, and they eat together, and they also can take whatever, for leftovers as well. We have an IPV group, we have mental health group, we have budgeting and money management. We have there's tons. We've had some in cultural programming as well. So there's weekly sharing circles. There's also another weekly group. It's called, we call it Visiting with Cookham. So that includes kids, and sometimes they'll make bannock, sometimes it's just, a time to visit with the elder. That's also a time to have more informal, education around cultural traditions, around, just cultural education especially for those, who are wanting to reconnect with their culture. And the other thing that we have had too is we've had nursing students as well. And so they provide a lot of the physical and wellness programming. They've actually offered a flu clinic. They've also offered an immunization clinic as well. So, for moms, so they don't have to go and haul their kids and, to get immunized. And so we, again, these really great partnerships and that are bringing such a great programming and also adding to the services that we are already providing.
I am sure that there are listeners out there that are just like, their jaws have hit the floor in terms of just all the things that happen here at Hopeful Hearts. But it also speaks too about how just well connected the YWCA is. And I've always admired that. But I feel like it's so important now for different community organizations and different nonprofits to work together. And I know, Kim, when you and I talked a couple years ago, we talked about like those silos going down and working together. And that must, Mirna, is that nice for you to see like so many partnerships? Like it's not just on your shoulders at the YWCA, but it's like everyone's chipping in and helping out, it seems. Is that a nice feeling?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is. It's like I said, and what I have found, and some of those partnerships were existing, 2 partnerships that we had with our existing services too as well. But I think what has really made it, somewhat easier for us here is that also these agencies, are coming to us, right? Like they're running these programs and they're thinking of us, right? Like they're thinking, oh, Hopeful Hearts, this would be a good fit, for families there, for singles there, so it's nice to be able to have that, for them to know that the program that the services that we're offering here, are important and align with their mission too, with their vision, right? And they're coming to us.
Yeah. Oh, it's nice when values line up,
Yeah.
Isn't it? And then it just makes the partnership so easy.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
It is abundantly clear to me that you are a leader here at the YWCA, and it's clear that you find this work very rewarding. But it's hard work, and I'm wondering, why do you love doing this job so much?
Oh my gosh, so for me, I've been here for a long time, and it's always, it's always different. I learn something new every day, and despite all the hard things that we do deal with and the difficult things that we see, and just human suffering, sometimes for sure. There's also those times when you see when you see women, and their children just thrive, when they come to when they access, these services. And you heard that a couple women, themselves talked about how much, this program has impacted them already in such a short time, how it has impacted their children as well. So for me, it's about, and it's not necessarily for me, seeing these huge successes, it's not about that, right? Because everyone's success is different, for some people, it could be just, maintaining their their stability with their mental health. It's not just, it's not always about, how much, you're going to go get this big job and how much money you're going to make. And, it's not your typical success, but it is a success, for that individual and where they have come from and what has led them to be here. So for me, that's why I do this work. And the other piece I have always said too is that I feel like, in our work, we also have more flexibility. It isn't always about all the red tape. We have flexibility to really be client-centered and really meet individuals where they're at. And, I feel like that's one thing that we do really well, not only in Hopeful Hearts, but in, our existing services as well. That's always something that, I feel like we have done well, is really meeting clients where they're at.
I love it. That is so wise of you two to say, like, in terms of everyone's successes it's going to be based on the individual, and it goes to show too, like, how important it is to get to know each individual so that you understand where they're coming from. But yeah, like, everyone's successes are going to look different, and sometimes in my mind, I think of success as like, it's got to be like the big thing, or like a grand gesture or something like that. But
Sure.
yeah, but it can be a small thing, can't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It can be as small as like somebody, I learned this, because I was a manager in the shelter as well for many years, and I learned that there. It could be just as simple as somebody, having a safe place for, a week, or like being able to sleep after being on the streets for days and days or months, just having a place to just be able to have a safe place where they can rest, where they can have, a meal, where they can, maybe start to, think about, okay, what are my next steps? So it could be just as simple as, it's not, I shouldn't say it's simple. It's not simple for that individual and where they're at and what they're struggling with. But it is, even just as something like that, to me, that is a form of success and why we do the work that we do.
How did you become so wise?
Well, I don't know if I think of myself as wise. Is it my age? No. Well, that's really kind of you to say. But I don't know. I think it's just there's been so much, just the work, has taught me so much over the years, and I have learned a lot, from clients themselves. And to me, it's just, I see the resiliency, in women every day, what they have to go through, all the barriers, all the obstacles that they have to, come across, that they come across, and they still continue, they push and push and push, and we're just a little piece of that support, where they're the ones that are doing the work. I always, I know oftentimes, women will come to my office and they'll say, thank you for this place, thank you for what you're doing, and I always remind them that, it's them that are doing the work. It's not, we're supporting them, and I have, like I said, a really great team who provides, endless support, and who are here for the right reasons and are passionate about this work. But at the end of the day, it is the individual themselves who are doing that hard work.
It has been such a pleasure getting to know you a bit this morning. I'm very grateful for the time you've taken out, because it's clear you're a very busy person. But to see Hopeful Hearts, and I'm blown away by the work that you do. I'm blown away by this building. Mirna, you're amazing. This was just wonderful. So thank you so much for sharing your passion and a bit of your story with listeners today. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for thank you for coming, and thank you for coming back and seeing, you know, this new addition. I can see how passionate you are about, you know, shining light on this work, and so I mean, it's great. It's great to see. So we really appreciate you too.
A big thank you to Mirna for taking the time to share her passion for the Hopeful Hearts Home program with me on the podcast. If you want to learn more about the program and how you can become a volunteer, please visit ywcasaskatoon.com/hopeful-hearts. This has been Episode 8, Season 8 of YWCA Underground. My name is Eric Anderson. I host, produce, and edit this local independent podcast. You can follow and listen to YWCA Underground wherever you find your favorite podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or the website, ywcaunderground.com. Don't forget to leave a 5-star review if you like what you hear. You can follow YWCA Underground on social media. Simply search YWCA Underground on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter to check out photos and videos from the podcast. I want to thank my cousin Andrew Dixon for the original music for the podcast, and to Saskatoon's Danger Dynamite for maintaining the website. Before I go, I would like to acknowledge that these interviews were gathered on Treaty 6 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis. YWCA Underground is a production of the Salthammer Production Company. My name is Eric Anderson. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you soon, Saskatoon.